Hi everyone, welcome back to Through the Eyes of a Therapist podcast. It is season 7 of the podcast. Can you even believe it? It has been going since 2018 and it is now 2024. This is a podcast coming to you from El Paso, Texas. I'm Cristal Acosta, licensed professional counselor supervisor, and I am now licensed in New Mexico as well. So I just want to come out here and update you and welcome you back to the podcast about mental health that demystifies therapy and normalizes therapists, because therapists are human too. So I want to update you on a few things that have been happening. I've been teaching as an adjunct faculty member at UTEP. I've also been working really hard on my private practice, Clarity Counseling, Consultation, and Wellness, where we do holistic, person-centered, whole-body therapy virtually at the moment. I've been applying for small business grants and recently won the Barclays US contest for $5,000 to put towards my business. So I'm super proud of all of the work that I've been doing, trying to bring more mental health accessibility to the folks here in El Paso, mi gente. How are you everyone out there? So season 7, episode 1 is what you're listening to right now on Through the Eyes of a Therapist podcast. And today I'm going to be talking to you about some children's books that I bought for my child because he started pre-K. So I want to just take a second to read some excerpts from a couple of books, and I want to just talk about them with you through my eyes, through the eyes of a therapist. All right, so the first book that I'm going to be reviewing, that is a children's book, I think specifically made for kids who have separation anxiety or who are nervous about going back to school or starting school for the first time. It's called A Kissing Hand for Chester Raccoon. I'm holding up the book and you will be able to see this on my YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram. So if you want to know what it looks like, please go ahead and head over to my social media channels. And I will also link a copy of the book below through Amazon or something like that, so you can check it out for yourself. But I'm pretty sure that your local library will also have this book. I recently was invited by Region 19 Head Start to read this book for them on their channel so that they can show it to all of their preschool kids starting school so that they can have a way to cope with separation anxiety. So I just want to read the summary in the back. It's called A Kissing Hand for Chester Raccoon by Audrey Penn, illustrated by Barbara L. Gibson. And this book has a cover with a little raccoon, a baby raccoon named Chester, and his mommy. And his mom is looking at him holding his little paws. It's so cute. And I really think that this particular book is like a cardboard kind of book. It's safe for kids to kind of play with and open and read on their own or look at the pictures. They won't really tear it. And it's also like an abbreviated version. So the longer version is The Kissing Hand. And it's a few pages longer than this, and it is an actual like paper paged book. So that one with the full story is actually also really cute. I have a copy of it in the corner over here and I'll show it to you in a second. But this book is about Chester Raccoon, who doesn't want to go to school. He is crying to his mom and he's like, I don't want to go, and can I stay home with you please? And mom is trying to tell him that everything's gonna be okay at school, that even if he is apart from her for a few hours at the owl school, that's what they call it in this book because they're forest animals, right? So the school is in like a little tree, and she's comforting him and saying that if you feel lonely, you just have to remember something called the kissing hand. So the kissing hand is given to Chester by his mommy, and his mommy kisses his hand, the palm of his little paw, like mwah, and that way the Raccoon, little baby Chester, can put his little paw or hand to his cheek whenever he wants to feel mom's love. So it's such a cute story, and it's something that you can teach your children as well. You can kiss their little palm and put their hand against their cheek. It is definitely something I do with my child who just started preschool, and it's the big kid school, right? So it was something that was a little bit nerve-wracking for him. And the first few days of school, I read this book to him, and it seemed to resonate with him. You know, the idea of mommy's always going to be here, your caregiver's always going to be here. And the kissing hand was a really good, tangible, concrete signal of security, because kids that age need that kind of I guess tangible example. So like on their hand, you can also put like a little heart sticker on their hand, or draw a little heart too, and it can remind them that that's the spot that mommy kissed for you. And you can put the palm of your hand to your cheek at any time, and mommy will be there to give you a kiss on the cheek. The next book is about manners and how to ask for things appropriately. So this is something that I really love about these children's books that are now available. I'm not sure if they ever really had children's books like this that focused on skill building and coping when I was younger, because I'm sure my mom would have probably bought them for me, or like found them at the library for me. I'm very candid about the idea that the fact actually that I had anxiety when I was little, and so when I read children's books, it helps me connect to my inner child. I think that it's such a healing experience, and I love reading and looking at the pictures in the children's books. I loved the library when I was little. I learned to read at a very young age. So anyway, before I get carried away with my history, I want to show you the second book. I actually got this book from a local nonprofit organization called Books Are Gems. So here in El Paso, Texas, we have a cute, like kind of bookstore, but it's not anything that you pay for. It is a place where you can go and get free books for your children, and they kind of group the selections of books together by age group. So when we first started going to Books Are Gems, it was during COVID times. So we would just drive up to the parking lot, and we would tell the person or the volunteer the age range for the child. So we were like pre-K or toddler, and they gave us a lot of like pre-K, toddler appropriate books, and they were really, really cool. And then you can like kind of exchange the books as well, but you're not buying the books. And if you want to keep them forever, you can keep them forever. So it's great. Anytime that we never really liked a book, or we read it once and we were like, we're kind of over it, we would go and donate it to like those little libraries that are set up in front of schools and parks and stuff like that. So it was a really nice way to kind of keep the cycle of books moving through the city, right? And now that you go in, it's not COVID times anymore, so you can like walk in and select books. I think you get up to like 5 books and then 1 new book. So all of the books that they have are pre-loved, pre-owned, donated, and kind of circulated. And so this one was a pre-loved book, but my son really liked it, and I love doing like the voices. So it's again a son and his mom that are talking about manners in this book. So it's Alfie the alligator and his mama, and his mom is baking cookies, and she really is just trying to teach him how to ask for a cookie appropriately. So instead of just grabbing the cookie or putting his hands on the cookies, he has to say please, right? So he has to ask. And so Alfie thinks about kind of mischievous ways to get a cookie from his mom. And so there's a few antics in here. It's a pretty short book. And so when he decides to finally ask for a cookie, it's because his mom modeled the appropriate language for him. So mommy hugged Alfie. Your cookies look yummy. May I please have one? And then Alfie had the best idea about how to get a cookie. And he said, Mommy, may I please have a cookie? He said, "Yes, you may," said Mommy. So it's so cute. I think it's a great way to teach a child how to say please and to say thank you. And it's a nice reminder also for parents that kids are watching us and we can model these behaviors for them so that they also learn from us. And the last book is also something that we got from Books Are Gems. Even though this was a pre-loved book, it's in very excellent condition. And it's something that I started to read to my child a little bit before school started, before preschool started, because I wanted him to be familiar with social skills, right? So how to make friends. And so this book is very, very simple. There's very big pictures. It's called When Andy Met Sandy by Tommy De Paula, co-written with Jim Lewis. And I don't know if you're a kid from the 80s and 90s, but I remember these books by this author, Tommy De Paula. And you can kind of see like the signature hand-drawn sort of illustrations that they have in this book. And it's so cute. It talks about Andy and Sandy and how they are at the park together and they're kind of observing each other playing, like, she's playing with that slide and he's crawling on this and that little piece of the playground. And they kind of think to themselves, what if I were to ask them to play with me? And they were each asking themselves that in their internal kind of like dialogue. And then they come across a seesaw. And of course, seesaws take two people to function, right? And so they both get the idea of becoming friends to ride the seesaw together and make it work out. So I think that asking somebody how to play, or can you please play with me, or would you like to play, is a way for kids to kind of start getting to know each other either at the playground or at school. And so that way they know how to connect with one another. And I think that that book is also really cute. So again, it's called When Andy Met Sandy, if you're interested in it. I'll link all the books that I talked about below on this episode. And through my eyes, I think that these books are excellent for parents. They're also excellent for therapists who are teaching social skills or who are helping kids get over anxieties about either meeting new people or going to school for the first time. And so I would say these books are for ages maybe like 3 to 6. Maybe older kids will understand. I mean, obviously they'll understand it, but I don't know if they'll like it and really gravitate towards it. So I think these are for like smaller children, like maybe pre-K, kinder-aged kids. But I really think that any grown-up could use them with children and be successful in teaching them sort of these concepts. And it's really important also, remember, to repeat things for children. So reading the books a few times, not just like the night before pre-K starts, you know. I mean, I think that would help, but I think it would be way more helpful if you started early and do these things often. So thanks for listening to this short book review for children's books, and I hope that you will join us for the next episode of Through the Eyes of a Therapist, where I will be bringing back our beloved guests, Elisa D and Bianca, and a bunch of other counselors that I know and therapists that I know that will talk with me about different things related to therapy, and it'll be a fun time. Again, please visit me on my social media. Go to TikTok and search This Counselor Life, or you can search Cristal the Counselor, Cristal the Counselor. Instagram is at Through the Eyes of a Therapist. And if you want to visit my website for my private practice, you can go to www.clarityelpaso.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on Through the Eyes of a Therapist podcast.